It takes just a couple of minutes, maybe like 5 total, and you start approaching that larger building. There is a rather obnoxious almost sign outside. Whether it's just covered in gold or it's fake gold or whatever, it just says the Gilded Palm and has 2 palm trees. It's quite clever.
I like it.
But see, it's also about greasing the wheels with a little... Yeah. Anyways. I'm proud of it, and that's what matters.
No, I like it.
And sounds noisy. Even from the exterior, before you've actually made it inside, you can just hear what sounds like ruckus. There's a piano being played. There's general japery, which is always a phrase I like.
Oh.
A couple of drinking songs, perhaps.
An old Western saloon.
The vibe you're getting pretty quickly, just walking down one city street and talking to a couple of people, is you don't really come out here for no reason. You've already just known from basic Aramean geography that there's a harsh desert outside of here. So you don't just come here for the tourism, but it seems like the people who are here are either rich or looking to be, and here to enjoy the finer pleasures since the surrounding area is so miserable. They have to find other ways to make themselves happy.
Is it like the Wild West? And do I feel at home here as a gunslinger?
Not especially.
And
no. And no.
It's really hoping just to like
Yeah.
little piano, and we just bust in. Everyone goes
the
quiet.
swinging doors. Yeah. This town's not big enough for the 4 of you.
Walk up to the bar and be like, "I'd like a seltzer water, please." And everyone's like, "What? We
Piano
don't
stops.
sell that sissy water here."
You got any milk? Excuse me, boy. Would you like to enter the Gilded Palm?
Mm-hmm.
The interior is just like the streets, about the busiest you've seen a place. There are perhaps hundreds of people in the area. It seems you also have hit during prime time. It's getting late, but not so late that people have gotten so drunk or so tired or run out of funds for the evening that they've gone home. So what you walk into instead is a bustling scene of, people at tables having conversations, and you can see the piano player in the corner of the room playing just a lovely tune, just really high-spirited.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's like the one from Family Guy. There is a female bartender, a tiefling from the looks of it, from across the room at least, who seems to be adeptly handling the large crowd of people at the bar, like just handling orders with relative ease. There's also a man in who has nothing on an upper body except a vest, who appears to be running a front desk of sorts to your right as you enter, and what might lead to what seems to be a couple of hallways with additional rooms and the sort. And beyond that, just again, hundreds of patrons. The other thing that sticks out to you is there are still the usual blends of humans and half-elves and elves that you're accustomed to being the primary demographic of most of Aramea. But between the time in the streets that you had shortly and just this patronage inside, there are more halflings than you've seen elsewhere, more tieflings than you've seen elsewhere, and somebody gathering attention at one of the tables seems to have a rapt audience is a pureblood Yuan Ti.
I have a question really fast.
Seems human, but as you kind of walk into the room and you get a little bit of a closer vantage point, has scales, and when she's talking, you can see her tongue is forked. Your question?
My question is, does the crowd seem to be respecting the hosts and the
social
servers?
distancing?
Yes, all the tables have been meticulously spaced. For the most part, yes. Are there a couple of people who are a little bit loud and a little bit rowdier than others if they're a few more drinks deep? Sure. But for the most part, everybody here seems to be having a good time. And as you're kind of scanning the room, there's nobody currently pickpocketing somebody else, or seems everybody here is just engaged in a little bit too much drink, but nothing else more sinister. So
I just want to make sure they're not groping the waitress because, again, I have the Western thing in my head. And that was the thing. I've seen Western.
you have impugned upon my honor.
I will walk up to the large, shirtless but not vestless man, and
It's a strange look. It's just it's sort of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's the vest and then nothing else.
I respect it. I walk up and I'm just like, "Good sir, we would like to get some rooms for the evening."
This is, as you've gotten closer, a stout, well-built, pretty tall human. I mean, not towering, but good 6'2", 6'3". A deep tan, and just because of the vest not being exactly on point, you can see there appear to be pretty heavy tan lines. So this might be his regular garb, and he wears this outside even, and gets heavy sun in it. Rippling muscles, but you can tell that perhaps his finest days are just a little bit behind him. Bit of a gut, but he still looks quite strong. He has these kind of speckled hazel eyes that are giving you the once-over as you approach, and auburn hair is up in this long ponytail that just hangs down behind his shirtless back. And as you approach the counter, you actually pick up on the fact that he has a metal right leg.
Oh, so now it's a pirate. So now we have pirate cowboys.
Yep, here we go.
The samurai.
And aliens. And Tom Cruise as the last samurai.
Like the guy just ran past.
Yeah. He was running full bore, too, just fucking booking it. As you say that as you approach, he goes, "Very well. We still have some rooms available, yes? How many of you? 4?
Yes.
2 rooms will do it then? Separate beds, of course.
2 rooms it'll be, yes.
All right, just the one night?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't forgetting something. We were teleporting out, traveling first thing in the morning. Yes.
Testing gives it heavy thought. Ooh, and the mathematical equations are all flowing past. Says, "All right, that'll be 10 gold. But of course, you get 2 drink coupons with that for each of you, so some added value. Anything after that's on you, though."
I understand, and I will pay him. What was it? 10 gold per room.
10 gold
10
total. 5 per room.
Okay. And I will give him 15 gold because
Whoa!
because it is the gilded palm. So I will take a hint and overpay this man.
He gives you kind of this knowing wink as you do so.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We'll invite him up to the room, too.
He says, "Ah, a man of culture, I see."
Of course. Well, it's a fine establishment you have. I think we'll enjoy the scenery.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your business?
Well, we're here on behalf of the Empress, actually. Important business regarding some political matters, actually.
He nods, seems content with that, isn't like he's prying. He goes, "Fair enough. Well, since you've been such a generous customer," he slides you a 3rd drink coupon for each of the stacks.
Damn.
Oh.
And he goes, "Well, depending on when your business takes you, just know that place can be a little dangerous at times. Should be safe in here. You run into more trouble in the streets, especially some of the alleyways or the less lit areas. All those overhangs, places stay pretty shady sometimes in both the literal and the figurative sense. So just be careful when you're out there. So the advice I give you."
We appreciate it. Any advice on the best drinks in the house?
I could have sworn I made a note about that. Did I not? That's going to be silly if I didn't. He says, "Well, it depends on if you're trying to drink for pleasure or trying to get knocked on your ass."
I'm a man of pleasure, myself.
I see. Then they won't want the vodka.
Wink.
Says, "Well, we can't really keep wine all that well here. We have some, but it doesn't do well in the heat. But there's some good pale ales, some stouts. If you're a beer drinker, you'll find quite a few things to your liking over there.
And if we were looking for supplies, if we had to make a trek out into the desert tomorrow, who would you recommend we visit?
I'm scrolling.
I would like to know what this guy thinks as opposed to the guards, in case there's a discrepancy there.
Sure. I actually want to give you a name that the guards didn't give you. I'm just making sure. Yeah. Okay. So, it says, well, he's kind of like, just absentmindedly like rubbing the side of his face. I suppose the best bet would probably be to check in with Kellen Rofferton. He's got a shop just on the other side of the Sandy Outlet. If you're heading outside the city, I'd recommend you be careful for different reasons. Not a place to go on a pleasure cruise.
Nothing of the sort. In fact, we're on something of a archaeological mission.
Ah, sounds mighty fancy. Well, make sure you've got plenty of water. Should be fairly obvious. It doesn't feel like I should have to tell folks, but you'd be surprised. People think they have enough water because they filled a canteen and walked around in the heat. Takes more than that. If you intend to leave the city for any meaningful amount of time, take more than you think you need, and then take a little more than that.
I appreciate the advice. Anything else wandering folks such as ourselves, new to the area, should know?
He kind of leans in towards you. He says, well, I've been hearing talk about members of the Midnight Order being in the city recently. Assassin's Guild, nasty business, but makes sense given the god they say they worship. So, if I were you, I wouldn't travel alone. Stick together just in case. Have an extra set of eyes, keeping an eye out, and backup in case anything should happen out there. Once you make it outside the city, very few people travel in the same areas, so I wouldn't think that's the same danger, but just to be extra safe.
Tessian nods, and he's like, I appreciate the advice, and I will slide him another 10 gold. Because tipping us off that there are literal Assassin's Guild people running around seems like the kind of advice he may not give everyone else. So
he acknowledges that as you slide it across, and he takes back the room keys that he had placed out next to the drink coupons at the Marriott by Hyatt, and which is not a thing, and slides you a slightly bigger key, 2 of them. Says, sure thing. Room's up on the next floor. A little nicer. Hope you get some good rest tonight.
Much appreciated. And I'll take the new keys, and we'll head up to our rooms, I suppose.
Okay, everybody go with?
Yes. Is everyone speaking in a Western accent? I need to know if I need to match their dialect.
Oh my god.
No, there were pirates. We discussed this, right? She'd be like, Yar, avast.
Yar, I reckon I ain't been around these parts on these fair seas.
There it is. Got me parrot.
Well, thank you there, partner. And I tip my not hat.
As you guys kind of weave your way up this staircase, it's one of those that kind of goes like up and back and then up into a hallway and up and back. Room numbers have a 3 on them rather than the 2 that it started with when you first got the keys. And looking down the hallway on the second floor briefly as you're just making your way up past it, just seems relatively nice. This seems like a decent establishment overall. When you get up to the 3rd floor, you can tell just instantly the doors are further spaced apart and are made of a sturdier wood. And the hallway has a little bit of extra in the way of decorations. It's just nicer in general. Seems to have been, not that you didn't think he was telling the truth, but it seems to have actually kind of hooked you up here. You guys can figure out how you want to bed.
Tessian, well, I guess, who wants to go shopping with, I don't know. I am concerned about. I think Isaac needs to sleep, but we also should probably leave someone to make sure he didn't get killed in his sleep.
Yeah, I'm kind
And
of wondering
Impossible.
if I should like stay, because I could also, because if I'm meditating, I'm in a trance, but I'm still aware of things, right?
Yes.
So I
I
could
like this
stay, make sure he's okay, but also try to figure out where we're going next.
I'm assuming you are saying this out loud, like as Lena in a way, and I'm gonna say, no,
Yeah.
this is silly. We should travel together.
Lena will stay here. Karash and Tessian will go out.
Why would we separate? You don't want to get hunted by assassins without me.
I don't
As much
want to be
as I-
hunted by assassins at all.
Exactly.
Sure, Karash, that's a good point.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
We will have the most. If we want to be the most expedient about this as we can be, Lena needs to meditate, which means she needs to be here by herself. So, since you're the one that needs rest, you might as well take as much as you can while guarding her. It's almost more for her benefit than for yours.
Fine.
So the
There you
two
go.
of you can set up in one of the rooms. You don't even necessarily have to bed in the same room at this point, but you can pick one of them, and if Karash wants to stay bedding with Isaac or whatever. But the interior is quite nice. There is a low table, when you're like, wait, but there's plenty of like pillows around it. It seems to be meant for like a communal eating / whatever else experience. Really nice looking beds. Fine Egyptian cotton, perfect for the desert. 1,000 thread count.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of threads. You definitely got hooked up. These look like suites.
Nice.
And you're not sure what the going rate for those would be. Maybe voluntarily having presented it actually made it cheaper than they would have been otherwise, but you are playing the game as it was meant to be, given the name, and as such, given that and your general disposition and pleasant nature and his love of archaeology, you have been set up with. Okay, the last one's not true.
God, it's a good thing I didn't talk at all.
Give me your best room. I had a bad day. My dad's dead.
But he's back now. It's fine.
It's complicated. So, Lena, you can stay behind if you would wish to do so. Isaac, you can rest or not. It's up to you if you actually want to go to bed yet or not. You will need a full night's rest to hopefully get rid of this exhaustion, if it is indeed something you can get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if I can't, that's fine. I just need my HP back. So.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Sleep yet or resting?
I'll sleep with Lena telling me if she needs anything to awake me.
Okay.
I imagine the fans who are like, I'll sleep with Lena. They're like, until she, oh.
But I'm going to sleep with, all my gear ready
Okay.
to strike in a moment's
I thought
notice.
you were going to say that you were going to sleep with it on, and I was like, that's not safe.
They roll over if gunfires. Oh.
Blow your nuts off.
Oh my god. Okay.
So to save time, as we'll switch to Tessie and Karash, but go ahead and make a nature check.
Okay.
And then Tessie and Karash, you can get some general directions from your new buddy, Howard Kaysen, as it were.
A 23 nature check.
Okay, perfect. Bless you. He doesn't have time for shirts, but he does have time to give you the best knowledge he can.
Oh,
He tells you basically essentially what the guards did as well. It appears the guards were telling the truth, that it is in the northwestern part of the city. He says you're free to go check it out, but you might not have a lot of luck this time of night. However, considering the supplies you're looking for, and they're not just like this general store area, it's worth a shot.
Okay.
we're going.
Kellen keeps different hours than the majority of the whole shopping area does.
So then the shops are open during the day, typically.
Typically, yes. And
Okay.
what you see as you approach takes you about 15, 20 minutes to get to that part of town, unaccosted along the way. Spoiler alert. There's a couple of things that you pick up on here. One is that as you're approaching, you can actually see in the gaps in between, again, where you can sort of see where there's not overhangs, what appear to be stalls up on the rooftops. As you're walking to the shopping district, it seems like all the houses there are where the vendors might live, And during the day, this sprawling market actually takes place atop the roofs, connected by all these, both some large sections and even as you're walking through on occasion, some haphazardly placed boards and planks and more rudimentary means of crossing between buildings. But the activity is definitely down. There's no openings up there this time of night, particularly because of the weather. People here seem suited to dealing with the heat relatively well. And then when the cold comes, they're like, I'm going inside. I don't, I got time for this. So the market itself is not open, but following his directions, you do see what appears to be a store with its lights on, actually on the ground, not up on the rooftops, with, well, you can't tell from here, but it's a store. You don't know what's inside till you go in. Do you want to go in?
We do want to go in, yes.
Sure.
Excellent. Turn around, leave.
I'm putting my I'm looking out for trouble. I'm concerned.
Okay. On the inside, you see a female halfling, dark skin, soft, short chestnut hair, flowing violet robes, and spectacles with this kind of gold trim to them. Looks pretty opulent. Business must be pretty decent here because seems relatively well off. And she greets you as you come in. Says, well, it's a little unusual time of night for customers, but what can I do for you?
Yes, we apologize for the lateness of this, but we were looking to traverse the deserts. We've got something of a archaeological trip on behalf of the Empress to make, and we're going to need supplies. A wagon, animals, water, food, perhaps some tents, protection, and the like. We've heard that you're the place to go for such things.
She kind of rubs her brow for a second. Says, I suppose I'm obligated to ask, as I always have to. Are you sure you want to venture out into the desert?
Want to, perhaps not, but it is a requirement if we are to complete what we need to do.
Says, fair enough. I just always want to make sure. Occasionally you can see people hesitate even when asked such a simple question. You can tell by the lack of fire in their eyes that their heart's not really in it, or they're not up to it, or they don't fully understand what they're getting into, but I don't get that sense from you. So let's see. I'm assuming you would like this by morning?
If you could, yes.
A wagon, something with a cover. Don't know if we can do horses in that span, but we could probably do camels. They're used to bearing the weight. They can pull it.
Oh my god, Lena's gonna be so excited.
Some canteens.
I don't know if I want to bring this up with Lena at some point, but if we're going to be teleporting directly back, we might be ditching these camels in the middle of the desert.
Don't tell her that.
Camels! It's literally their home.
Correct, but like I will probably okay, unless our plan is to travel there, then travel back, and then teleport. But we have the scrolls to make this as quick as possible. So,
camels make great friends in major cities. I'm sure that they can make a wonderful living wherever we take them.
Just fair warning to Michaela. Don't get too attached to these camels. We're going to go out there, and then their asses are just left in the desert.
I mean, I won't get too attached, but the question is, will Lena get attached? And we won't know until she meets the camels.
I think we all know. We all know.
You all know the answer, but, you know, that's fine.
So she's kind of just running down this mental checklist here as she's just going through her head about, like, all right, let's see, you need this. She's listing the stuff you mentioned as well as a couple other things you hadn't, but that she thinks she'll need. She's like some canteens and additional containers that hold more water than that. Let's see. How many days' journey do you think?
Tessian tells her, oh gosh,
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. So let's plan for 3 days. And at that point, he will mention that it is more than likely a one-way trip, as we have secured magical means of transportation once we have reached our location. Just in case she's got some sort of like, oh, then you can return these. It's like, no. We're not returning these things. So
She says, that's not especially good. Well, you have a couple of options. You can pay double, or I can send one of my men with you.
Honestly, we could certainly use the help. Another pair of hands and someone to watch watch the supplies while we are indisposed. The dig site, if it were, could potentially be a very active location. There's a lot of old magic that we're looking for. And when we find it, it would best suit us and your own good if we had someone to stay with everything while we proceeded inside.
You suspect he'll be in danger?
If he stays outside of the shrine that we're looking for, then no, I do not believe so. Outside of the elements or any of the other ones, but inside he would be, which is why I don't think we would bring him in. This is something that we have faced similar odds against before, and while I'm confident in my own group's abilities, I would not put your man in danger.
All right, so if we assume up to 3 days, rentals, not buying. Sending a man with. A little extra, though. Let's say 100 gold pieces.
Very well. Dip into the funds. We're down to like 1,600 here, guys. You know,
Oh,
for shame.
no.
Let's see, but I will, because I like these people. I will pay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was gonna toss her like 120. So.
She says, all right, that's appreciated. I'll tell you what. If my man comes back safely with the rest of my gear and my camels and whatnot, and you make it back here at some point, I'll return that extra 20 gold to you. Call it a deposit for goodwill or something.
Very well.
Miss Halfling, if I may.
Kellen, please.
Kellen, do you know many of the groups that move through this area? People?
It's mostly people that are used to it. Some people come from Land's End pretty regularly. They want to sample the casino or some of the other delights the city has to offer. Occasionally someone makes their way all the way through. They use this as a stopping point and they keep going on the way to South Shore. Desert's a little less harsh to the southeast of here, so if you can make it here, the rest of it's pretty easy.
I have reason to believe more people from my clan may be about. Have you seen or heard anything about Blue Dragonborn in this desert?
I can't say that I have, but for the most part, the only business I get here is people that intend to head out into the desert or travelers passing through. So if they've been here for some time, you might check with the inn or even at the casino. Maybe they're degenerates like the rest of them.
Oh, degenerates.
Well, gambling can be quite addictive. It's a rush, you know. Sometimes you have big highs and sometimes you have big lows.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna just chaw on that for a minute. I was like, huh?
Wish I could be more help, but I can't say I've seen any that I remember.
No, thank you. It is very helpful still.
So it's a bit of a short order, but having paid me and whatnot, I should be able to have that together by the morning.
We appreciate the speed and recognize that it's a big ask this late in the night. Matters drew us elsewhere, and we were unable to get here sooner. So,
Yeah, perfectly understandable. And hey, It's what I'm here for, after all. I'd be a fool to turn down business.
Well, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and we'll let you get to it. Although I will ask, is there any place that you could suggest if I'm looking for arcane reagents, charcoal, herbs, incense, and the like? Do you know of any place that sells it here?
She thinks on it for a second. She says, "There's a pretty prominent alchemist in the stalls that run above the city during the daily market over in the Sandy Outlet. Probably your best bet. I don't know if we have a ton of that out this way, but it stands to reason he might have a few things."
Very well. Thank you. And Tessian looks at Karash. Anything else, Karash?
No, I cannot think of anything else we need just now.
Okay. Tessian gives her a nod, and I guess he kind of forgot to introduce himself, but says, I am Tessian, by the way, Tessian Nikolai Black II, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Turns a handshake, gives her full name, Kellen Rofferton. And by the way, just so you guys can make a note, she would tell you about some of her fancier wares.
Okay.
She has a potion of fire, giant strength. She has a +2 shield. It's 5,000 gold.
Oh.
And has slippers of spider climbing for 4,000 gold. The potion is 800.
If we run into a windfall at this next place,
Yeah, you can always
perhaps
make
we
a
will
note for later
Mhm.
when you have the funds. Okay, so she promises to make those arrangements. Anything else you want to do before heading back to the Gilded Palm?
I was going to consider looking for more reagents of stuff, but it's not. You said the market's not open, so.
Oh,
that's it.
I'm totally floating the idea of swinging by the casino, if only briefly. I'm thinking I might be able to convince Tessian gambling a little bit would be fun. Tessian, you wish to stop by the casino before we go back to the inn, if only to look? Totally innocent.
Tessian will agree.
Yeah!
But he highly suspects this is just to look for Blue Dragonborn. But
Yes!
he will play
No!
along. He will play along because why not?
I never, ever abuse our friendship for such a thing.
So, as you guys make your way to the casino, Lena, that was a 23?
Yes.
It's like 15 minutes ago, but I think that's right.
Yeah.
As usual, the closer that you are, the easier it is for you to hone in on this, and repeated meditation has also helped in the past, but in this case, you've sort of rocketed yourself to a factor of like 6 or 7 closer than you were the last time you were trying to sense this. And as such, as you're meditating, you're sort of keeping an eye on Isaac in the back of your mind, but still you hone your focus to some extent. It feels pretty acutely to the southwest of the city that you're currently in.
Cool.
It's still probably 30, 35 miles away, best you can guess from this sense.
Okay. So
Camels are not exactly the fastest, not that you know he has camels yet, but
right. So what I guess it's probably gonna take a good,
it might take a full day,
like full day, maybe day and a half or something.
perhaps.
Okay.
You're not entirely sure, but you know that before you've had this kind of lingering sense as you start to approach these locations that should be enough to guide you based on your strong feeling now and that sort of softer, innate feeling that you have afterwards, that you're relatively confident that it's out in that area. I mean, a few miles still gives you a decent radius where you're going to have to be like, but it's reasonably close, especially considering this is only your second attempt at it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high result.
Yeah. Cool.
So that gives you a sense of that, and that is where we're going to leave off. I know it seems kind of weird, but next time, a trip to the casino, a wisdom saving throw for Isaac, and Lena has a nice meditation. And then
Excellent.
the daytime. So goodbye.